Hello, welcome back to Aetheral Space 13.19. No doubt, no batter. We are back.
Why did you kill off Chicken Punk?
I had to.
I chicken ask. No, you didn't. He could have lived.
This is natural conclusion. He was born for that.
Why?
He
was born to jobber for the shepherdess.
A hero can't survive, or else they're nothing but a human being.
That's true. You either die a hero or live long enough to see yourself become the shepherdess.
If you live too long, you'll find a less satisfying end.
It's because people start to rot after a while, don't they?
Is this a political thing?
I still think about that. I tell people about that post all the time. There's another line right after it that fucking I think is so awesome. I want to steal it all the time, and I try not to so people don't think I'm a hack. You wrote something like, he says that right after Skipper's big rant, and then it's like Fury killed despair. It's just like him screaming heartbeat shotgun. It's so fucking cinematic, dude. I need that animated more than I need anything else in this world. So good. Anyway, enough jerking you off. We have to read this chapter, right?
Yeah, we have to. Obliged.
Sweat trickled down the chin of the one who called themselves the Crown. The Interstellar Museum of Supremacist History was considered one of the great wonders of Azum-Ha, a massive complex full of relics from both the Supremacy's own history and the planets they had enlightened over the centuries. The place saw thousands of visitors every day, a useful smokescreen when one was trying to avoid the Reaper. It was air-conditioned to within an inch of its life, and yet right now it still felt like a sauna. The Crown walked from exhibit to exhibit, from a holographic reproduction of the Draenei breaches to an obsidian statue of the First Supreme. The legend of the Supreme exhibit was spread across 5 levels, the walkways above hosting even more artifacts and articles. The Crown had made their rounds through this place several times already. Their wandering was aimless, more for the sake of not staying still than anything else. A moving target was more difficult to hit. Even without their obvious anxiety, the Crown would have stood out. The black bodysuit they wore, with gold trimmings along the joints, was hardly subtle. The golden visor they wore, stylized to look like their namesake, boosted their vision to an epiphanic degree. What the fuck does that mean?
Like epiphany? Is that
I know,
miraculous?
but there's no way epiphanic is a word, is it? Alright, I'm looking it up right now. Epiphanic. Not a word.
It is now. Shakespeare.
Real. You know what? You're real for that. If philosophers can do it, why can't you make up words?
All words made up.
An epiphanic degree, and yet right now they saw nothing. The only part of their skin visible was the bottom half of their face, and it was pale as snow. They knew, after all, that death was coming. That death was hunting them. More specifically, the King of Killers, Nael Manrin. Since the night's events at the Arena of the Absolute had come to an end, the assassin had been on what could only be described as a rampage. Zubis Rune and Billy Ogden had been slain in these dark few hours. Whether ambushed by or honorably defeated, the Crown could not say. The dismembered bodies told no tales. What they did know was that they would be on that...
added context, when those are over door contestants.
Gotcha. What they did know was that they would be on that list too. It was only a matter of time before the King of Killers paid them a visit. They weren't the only one who'd come to that conclusion. As the Crown passed by a display case containing the skull of Granba, 4 empty sockets shining in eerie green, he spied his temporary ally through the glass on the other side. Helena Athena Lux. Hal? The cogitant seemed a reasonable
Well, there's a glass
one.
box, you can see past the skull.
No, I said Hal. That's their initials.
Oh.
Like the robot from
How
Space...
can you see through it? It's an object.
No, like the robot from A Space Odyssey. Or wait, is Hal from Space Odyssey? What's Hal from? Okay. The cogitant seemed a reasonable woman. Her short white hair was covered by a black flat cap. And she... Wouldn't it be flat black cap?
No. A flat cap
Yes,
is a kind of hat.
A black flat cap. I'm gonna kill you.
What did you mean?
And she clutched a bulky and conspicuous camera in her hands. This is an order adjectives are supposed to go, and you're breaking the rules. You'll break... Oh. Shouldn't it be one word then? Flat cap?
Yeah, that's what I fucking thought, but then fucking Google disagrees.
Google can suck my cock! The sharp waistcoat and bright red tie she was wearing didn't do much to stop her from standing out either. Then again, the Crown couldn't very well talk, and besides, all of this was a fool's errand anyways. They were Dawn contestants after all. They'd long since lost the right to go unrecognized. According to the tournament bracket, they'd be fighting against each other tomorrow, but for the time being, they decided it was best to work together to repel the King of Killers. The Crown put their script to their ear. I'll be real. If you don't think you can fight the King of Killers alone, how do you think the Dawn contest is going to go for you?
Yeah, but it's not a match, though. He doesn't have to do it like fair. You could just like bring 10 guys to jump you right now.
That's true. The Crown put their script to their ear. I'm just going to make up voices. Anything on your end? No. Helena's husky voice came back. I don't know how to do it. What does husky voice mean?
It's kind of like this, maybe.
Oh, okay. Maybe he skipped us. The Crown shook their head, putting their back against the wall. No way. Both Zubas Rune and Billy Ogden are dead. We're next on the list. Why is his initials B.O.?
I don't know.
Truly an unfortunate character.
He's dead.
We're next on the list. I'd bet you anything he'll be trying to wipe this bracket clean. What makes you so sure? You saw that first match, same as me, the Crown replied, eyes flicking through the crowd. Xander Rain was definitely in league with that Dragon Hadrian guy. You think he's the only one? You think Manrin's working for him, too? Makes sense to me, the Crown said. Hadrian wants to make his way through the bracket without fighting, right? I don't know if he can avoid battling Paradise Karen, but he wants to get our section out of the picture so he can score a free win near the end. You're sure about that? The Crown frowned in annoyance. They had served in the Supremacy military for some years before beginning their preparations for the contest. I do like that, like it's an Olympic sport they have to prepare for. I guess they had 2 years, huh?
Yeah.
This level of chatback was something they very much weren't used to. I was using my ability when I figured this out, they said. So yeah, I'm pretty damn sure. Anything feel off to you? No. Maybe the plan worked. This place is a galactic treasure. Not even the King of Killers would dare attack here. That didn't check out. The Crown had done a little research on Nail Manrin. From what had been observed of him since he'd appeared on the scene 2 years ago, he didn't seem like the type to balk at attacking a place like this. I might get rid of the double dash, put a period, and then capitalize from. Just so it's a little less run-on. Yeah. Besides, he was from a Lilith world, if you believe the stories. The Savage probably didn't even understand the significance of this place. They made their brain the king again, enjoying the sudden rush of information and calculation. Wait, what? Oh, is his ability he makes a part of his body king and it's like the strongest part or whatever? Yeah. You love kings, dude. If I had a nickel for every king in Aetheral Space...
One king I don't love.
What? Who?
The real one.
King Charles? The sudden rush of information. Maybe just loving like monarchies in your blood as a Brit. Have you thought about that?
I had to make my own ones that I could love.
Yeah. The ones that you could support.
Yeah.
This one's not good enough. Enjoying the sudden rush of information and calculation. Possibilities balanced against each other. Scenario simulated. Loose threads pooled until... Helena shot back. What's Their body became the king again, a glowing golden crown symbol appearing between their shoulder blades. We're already surrounded, they muttered into their script, as casually as they could. Members of the Crimson Carnival. They're making sure we stay put until Manrin gets here. If we move now, we can break free, but a spindly man stepped up towards the Crown from out of the crowd, holding up a script of his own. Excuse me! Excuse me! He chirped excitedly, his grin wide. Are you the Crown? You are, aren't you? I'm a huge fan! Could you? The Crown pulled out their pistol and blew his head off. Is this Notorious B.I.G., the character? Are we about to get? That wasn't the guy from the Crimson Carnival, was it? That was just a guy, a fan. Tan, why'd he kill his fan?
You have to do these things.
The corpse collapsed to the floor, smoke rising from his stump, and the museum exploded into panic, the crowd suddenly surging past to avoid the sudden violence. The few who didn't make a rush for the exits were security automatics, and the assassins. A supposed security guard whipped off his blue cap, revealing a gnarled face of protruding fangs and crystallized eyes. Guardian entity! He screamed. Jersey Devil! Is that supposed to be Jersey Devil?
Yeah, Jersey no longer is known.
Oh, but Jersey.
Well, that's just like, you don't know what it means. It's like, that's the name of this kind of devil.
Technically, shouldn't it be Joyzy Devil? Because that's how people from Jersey pronounce it. Jersey Devil! He leapt into the air, and his beast appeared beneath him, ready to be mounted. It was a hideous creature, like a horse with human skin pooled taut over it. So taut, you could see the skeleton pushing against its restraints. As it sprinted towards the crown, it passed the security automatics, and they slumped onto the ground, thoroughly deactivated. Some kind of EMP? The crown rolled out of the way as the Jarzy devil galloped through. The beast tore apart a priceless painting of the fall of Azum before returning back to its prey. What's the fall of Azum?
It's when, before it became Azum High, it was Azum and the Gene Tyrants were there. So that was like the last battle of the Phase Revolutions.
That's the fun fact today. I'm going to ask about
You've
that.
seen this. It was the flashback at the start of this arc.
Fine, come up with a fun fact then. Okay. Joke on it. I don't know why that was so aggressive.
I was like, I put in a news, I was like, oh, it'd be cool if it grinned with all 2 human teeth, and then next paragraph I realised past time and he did that already.
Steaming saliva dripped from its mouth, which grinned wide with all 2 human
the
teeth.
exact same phrasing as well.
Barbed hooves dug greedily into the ground. Oh, they're so greedy for dirt. The way you love adjectives. They should call you Adjective Honey. The next voice came from behind the crown. Guardian entity, they wheezed. Mothman! A little boy in a floral shirt. Oh, wait, different kind of wheeze. Guardian entity, they wheezed. Mothman. Oh, no. Fuck! Why would you write little boy then old man?
The sentence.
Guardian. Fuck you. A little boy in a floral shirt. No, not a little boy. A tiny old man who'd been hiding in the corner of the room. A faceless humanoid figure with baggy gray skin materialized behind him, spreading glowing green wings behind it. The crown whirled around with their pistol, ready to take this new enemy out immediately, but click. No dice. The gun wouldn't fire. Mothman whipped its wings forward, and countless tiny green scales flew towards the crown. Wow. Heartbeat Freedom Copier. For just an instant, they made their mind the king again, and understood the form of this attack. Those scales were tiny blades, ready to shred through the crown's skin on impact. Lux! The crown roared right before the attack made impact. Do it! They discussed their strategy beforehand, of course, how they'd use their abilities to support each other when the attack came. Now, though, now was the moment of truth. Would Helena follow through on their agreement, or would she betray in the hopes of getting her opponent killed early? Is this the ability you talked about in theory?
Yeah.
Nice. Age shift, Helena said calmly. Safe for kids. It seemed they'd chosen an honest partner. The crown was indeed sent flying backwards by the barrage of scales, but not a single one of them cut through their skin, instead bouncing off. They flipped through the air, landing on an antique chandelier high above, hanging onto the side of it as they looked down at the room. A few seconds to think we are invaluable.
We are invaluable.
Especially when their mind was the king. Helena Athena Lux had 2 abilities, but the one she just used, Age Shift, was the better for defense. Once she'd captured a subject with her camera, she could change the age rating associated with it. Apparently, videographs rated safe for kids in the UAP didn't allow visible blood, so the blades had been unable to draw blood from the crown. Aww. Wait, why does the UAP have, like, better child safety than
Supremacy were like, it is glorious battle. The kids will love it.
Of course the kids should see blood? Question mark. Blunt force was still... Y7. Blunt force was still a factor, though. The crown winced from the after effects of the scale slamming into them. They'd have to be careful. The crown's own ability, also called the crown, allowed them to designate various aspects of themselves as the king. Once they'd done so, their aether would scan the surrounding area and boost that aspect of themselves until it exceeded everyone else in the vicinity. If their body was king, they'd be the physically strongest in the room. If it was their mind, they'd be the smartest. Is it just those 2 things?
Well, it's different aspects.
Oh. So long as their aether could handle the required level of enhancement, it was absolute. I'm trying to do it in the same room as the Supreme.
Yeah, it would work.
My body is king! Explodes.
Oh, my muscles too big!
Awakens immediately. They were well prepared for most threats, in theory. Time to put that to rest. After that Jarzy devil had shown up, both the automatics and the crown's gun had stopped working. Less an EMP then, and more an ability that disabled any technology past a certain point of advancement. If so, getting rid of him was the priority. Again, the crown's body became the king, and they leapt down at the Jarzy devil's user. Lux! They roared. X-R-E... What? How do I say that?
X-ray.
X-ray? X-ray roar... X-ray roar... X-ray or X-ray?
X-ray.
X-ray rating on the horse! If Age Shift could prevent damage, it could also amplify it. In the UAP, X-Re was the most extreme indecency rating a production could be marked with. X was already the highest real rating, and the RE meant that even that was under review. In short, the work was likely to be banned outright. Needless to say, one of the factors that contributed to this, the Crown slammed their fist into the user's arm, was excessive gore. The user screamed out in terror as his arm exploded from the contact. Does this also work in other things? Like, could he, like, prevent people from, like, making out?
Probably, yeah.
Nice. Or she, I guess. It's her ability. He was killed instantly, needless to say, and as he fell off his... Oh, sorry. The user screamed out in terror as his arm exploded from the contact. Newly formed guts and entrails spilling from the wound. He was killed instantly, needless to say, and as he fell off his dissipating guardian entity, his body collapsed in on itself further from the mild impact. A single punch and a fall to the ground made him look like he'd gone through a car compactor. I think it's past tense, yeah. A sight as gruesome as that would have made most people vomit, but they didn't have time for such luxuries. The instant the Jarzy devil vanished, the Crown pointed their gun at the tiny old man again, firing the hand cannon 3 times in quick succession. The first shot reduced the man's right arm to pulp, but the Mothman blocked the second and third with quick slashes of its razor-sharp wings. Even as the wreckage of his arm twitched and bled, the old man didn't so much as flinch. His eyes were wide as saucers, though, and saliva was slowly oozing down his chin. Was he high on something? The Mothman flapped its wings again. Ooh. Well. Ah, damn it. You didn't even let me gloat about it. Scales spinning around it in a miniature tornado. A defensive move, but that was no problem. The old man hadn't moved since this had all started. Even when dodging would have been to his advantage. There was a reason for that. The scales that the Mothman had fired off earlier were still lingering in the air like deadly snowflakes. If the old man touched them, they'd cut him up just as much as anyone else. The Crown went to open their mouth, to give another order, but there was no need. Helena Athena Lux wasn't blind, after all. She'd seen the exact same thing. I thought it was called Age Shift. Oh, Genre Shift's the other one. Genre Shift! She cried out, the lens of her camera crackling with grayscale aether. Slapstick comedy! Wait, so how does that work if you have gore age on, and then slapstick comedy? Jesus. It just becomes fucking Doom Eternal. Can I popcorn you? I know it's not a clean break, but I'm fucking exhausted. Thank you.
No doubt the old man thought she was about to fire some sort of projectile from that camera of hers. No doubt that was why he concentrated the scales and more defense waves around him. No doubt that was why he adjusted his footing. But there was also no doubt... Sorry, there's a little... that he did not notice the banana peel that was suddenly right between his feet. The result was obvious. With a cartoonish whoosh sound, the old man went head over heels, sent flying into his own storm of blades. The Crown found themselves distinctly reminded of a blender. They caught their breath, the Crown and Helena Athena Lux, accompanied only by the corpses and a blurring distant alarm. Obviously, this wouldn't be the end of their long night. Sorry. Crimson Carnival was on them, and even if it seemed Mandarin himself wasn't... So, Mandarin said from above, those are your abilities. The Crown snapped their head up, their blood suddenly running cold. Nail Mandarin stood just outside a broken skylight on the ceiling, that red fur coat flapping around him, his crimson eyes cold as they regarded their prey. When had he gotten here? Long enough to observe the battle, obviously. All of that had just been one last bit of reconnaissance. Nail Mandarin, the king of killers, was a man who fought with the sharpest of weapons. No doubt he was wary of age shifts. Nail Mandarin, the king of killers, was a man who fought with a body trained to physical perfection. No doubt he was wary of the Crown. Nail Mandarin, the second king of killers, had not earned that title by chance. No doubt he would choose his path carefully, decisively. Guardian entity, he muttered, dispassionate.
Wait, what? What is it? I'm trying to copy it to see what it is, but it's not working. Is it the right number of characters?
For what?
For whatever the name is?
Yeah.
You're typing something. What are you typing?
I'm not. Word is that the Azamhar Guard has the place surrounded. Morgan's voice came through over the communicator, barely audible through the deluge. They're not moving in, of course. They don't get paid enough to take on the King of Killers, but they're making sure the civvies stay out. I see. It was as he said, rain battering against his face. Do you think they'd let me in if I showed myself before them? Well, legally they should, but it's a pretty crazy situation. I won't be surprised if it ended up more complicated than that. Finding your own ways into museums is the better way to go. Understood. Musashi replied. I'm moving in now. Make sure you're all in place. But of course. The communicator clicked off, and Musashi swooped out the way of an incoming truck, cutting across the skyline as he made a beeline for the museum below. The motorcycle he was riding blazed with its own thrusters as well as ones Musashi had added, parts of the paintwork whirring away from the sheer speeds it was pushing it to. There were skylights on the roof of the museum. Once it determined this was Neil Mandarin's location, Jamiliwa provided Musashi with blueprints of the building. How he'd gotten them, Musashi couldn't say, but he doubted it was through legitimate means. Even if they were working together for the time being, those two were Nebula the UAP, Musashi was a special officer of supremacy, sworn enemies. Beep, beep, chip. Musashi cast an annoyed glance to the side as the emerald eyes caught up with him. Small camera automatics, their lenses shining a bright green, bobbing and weaving around each other as they pursued Musashi relentlessly. A similarly green light pulsed within Musashi's wrists. Upon registration for the Dawn contest, all contestants received a tracking implant in their wrists. When two contestants marked a fight began to approach each other outside the arena, the implant detected this and the emerald eyes were dispatched to ensure the ensuing combat was recorded for the enjoyment of the masses.
I'm about to stop it. It's just like, well, at least let us see.
It's going to happen outside the arena. We need to see it.
Has this been happening for the other ones as well? But so technically, shouldn't there have been drones watching the whole thing with the crown and Helena?
No, because that.
Because they're two contestants.
Yeah, they would have had emerald eyes after them as well.
They were watching everything.
But for example, if Neil Mandarin went after someone on the other side of the bracket, it wouldn't count there because they're not next scheduled.
Oh, I see.
So long as they didn't get in the way, Musashi would tolerate them, he supposed. The stately building of the Interstellar Museum of Supremacist History, all stone and marble and pillars, grew large in Musashi's vision. Forget the spectators, it was time. Without hesitation, he leapt off the bike, letting it crash through the skylight below, finding him an entrance he hovered down with his thrusters.
Oh my god, he's like the fucking guy from RRR.
As he'd expected, the bike didn't reach the museum floor. Before it could, it was suddenly sliced up into countless pieces, like the fairy fragments raining down. The silver strings that cut the vehicle apart coiled in the air like agitated serpents, as they ran back to the shamisen held in Neil Mandarin's hand. Musashi had done some research of his own on his first opponent, both through the records the phasers could find and through the intelligence the Nebula had provided. Neil Mandarin fought with one of his Guardian Entity abilities, namely that Shami said he used as a weapon, Shami Shoro.
Oh wait, is that his Guardian Entity?
Yeah. That's what
Why was it like blacked out earlier?
Interesting.
Does he have another one?
Each of the strings was as sharp as the most fearsome blade. Mandarin could manipulate them freely. A dangerous ability. He'd have to be careful. As Musashi landed atop the walkway on the top level of the room, Mandarin looked up at him from the bottom. Two bodies lay at his feet. The charred corpse, if it could only be Helena Affler Lux, judging from the ruined camera in her hands, and the twitching near carcass of the crown. The stomach had been sliced open and a good trail of the ink trail scraped out. It was a wonder they were still alive. Not a wonder to envy. Neil Mandarin narrowed his dull red eyes as he regarded Musashi. Full moon, he said, voice low and lethargic. You made it. Radiance ignited from both of Musashi's hands as he prepared himself. That I did. The emerald eyes buzzed around at a distance surrounding the two of them. No doubt countless people were already watching this on the videograph. Even if it didn't take place in the arena, this was the next match of the Dawn contest after all. Mandarin cracked his neck as he took a step forward, raising Shamichoro up. Well, he muttered, slinging the instrument over his shoulder. Time to earn my keep.
What's his second entity, Tan? Is it the same number of characters as the blacked out boxes?
It would be.
How many is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Guys, cryptids, American cryptids with 8 letters. Look it up. Let's start theorizing. I want to see some numbers after this. I don't know if there were any questions that were like things that haven't already been answered. Let me see what I can see. Hold on. How do long-range Aether techniques work, like forcible ability deactivation? How do teleport abilities work?
Well, something like forcible ability activation, it's similar to other ones in that it's like an Aether virus. So when he spies someone to deactivate their ability, he basically fires off like an Aether bullet, imagine, that hits them and sort of...
I can
makes
imagine
their Aether
anything.
do something.
Yeah, because Aether can be a projectile, it just doesn't hurt on its own.
It can't be a projectile that harms.
So you can fire off Aether and it can carry like code for the technique.
Aether instructions is what they're firing.
But in theory, based on the rules, if they had strong enough reinforcement, wouldn't it just be useless?
Yes, depending on how the attack works, it can just be sort of tanked.
So I'm guessing the trade-off is you have to concentrate a ton of Aether at range and fire it for it to pierce, which means you leave yourself more unprotected. Oh, so you're more susceptible. So it's like a range build.
Precisely, yeah, he was a ranged fighter.
So, like, rather than reinforcing himself, he put it all into the bullets to pew, pierce through.
Yeah.
That's fun. Okay. Wiser asks, aside from the two known Aether functions, the Supreme's tick / being built different and chronodistance, are there any ways to slow and circumvent aging that significantly increase people's lifespans?
Well, infusion on its own can extend your lifespan because it's protecting against damage, and aging is...
It's like hormone rules. I know you mentioned to me before that if someone theoretically had, like, a fuckload of Aether, they couldn't become immortal, but they could become effectively immortal through age.
Yeah, they'd live for absurdly long a time if they had, like, insane infusion.
I also assume, like, going mechanical, like Hellhound style, probably helps.
Because even with his Aether, like, the part he would have to keep infused to continue his life would be less.
I think I have the perfect question for you now.
Okay.
Not counting anything that would be a spoiler for you if you're trying to keep secrets, what is the oldest known person recorded publicly in Aetheral Space? Like, whether through cybernetics or Aether... Yeah, or like special scurrent. It's okay if they're dead now, but like, what was the longest lived person that wasn't like a gene tyrant?
Direct to Eve, the leader of the Gene Tyrants.
Before, not counting gene tyrants.
Okay.
Humans.
So known to the public or known to us?
If you're willing to share, known to us, but I figured you might want it to be like kept secret.
The Shepherdess.
Ooh, how old is she?
Well, you pointed out that we'd seen a flashback from who you assumed was a shepherdess at the start of this arc, and that was 1,000 years ago.
Yeah. Oh my god, what an old ass bitch.
Jesus.
She should just die, right?
You old hag.
There's no way her brain can like be good anymore. She's the ultimate boomer. Oh my lordy. Did she ever just say some out of pocket shit?
I know, it's fucked
up. Does she?
What do you mean, does she?
Like, does she say some fucked up, out-of-pocket shit that, like, would not fly even in the Supremacy today? Like, she's saying 1,000-year-old slurs.
Not in public.
Not in public! Well, she doesn't really appear to people in public, period. She's like a folklore figure. Oh, that's good. Alright, well, thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you next time.
Bye!